You see an old tree trunk with crumbling bark, which is host to a cluster of fiery red-capped mushrooms. Your stomach rumbles noisily, and you realise just how hungry you are after your exploits in Skull Crag. If you want to eat some of the mushrooms, turn to 285. If you would rather look for something else to eat, turn to 224. Hello and welcome to the Friday Fantasy Show from the Bottled Imp, exploring the realms of fantasy. My name is Ken Boyter, and today we are taking a look at the Port of Peril. Now this is a new book, brand new book by Ian Livingstone, and it is number 6 in a series called Fighting Fantasy. Yes, you probably have heard of it. You may have even played or read the game books, because that's what they are. These first came out way back in 1982, I believe, 35 years ago, and they were published by Penguin. Scholastic publishers have now relaunched them. Oh yes, they have. Now this is a special edition version. This is number 52 of 500. They only printed 500. This is the hardback edition. And I thought I'd start playing them again because I remember playing them as a kid. Yeah, all those years ago, and I absolutely loved them. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain was the first one, and then there was loads of others. I can't remember how many they printed in the end. It was about 40, I think. They did republish them. Another publisher did it about 10 years ago. But Scholastic have taken up the challenge, the quest. So let's find out whether Port of Peril lives up to its name. Just what are fighting fantasy books? Well, they're actually game books. Yes, they are books that you read. Obviously, that's what you do with books. Not all the time. Maybe you can listen to some. Anyway, I'm going off track. These fighting fantasy books, they are books where you are the adventurer. You are the man, the woman who wants to go on a quest. You decide the outcome of the story, because there are, I think in this one there's 400 different entries that are all numbered, and then when you come to a decision, so it might say, for example, you see a treasure chest in the corner of the room. Do you want to go and look inside the treasure chest, or would you rather exit the room via the left door, or the middle door, or the right door, whatever the choice might be? And so you then pick. So it might say, yeah, actually, I want to go and rummage around, see what's in the treasure chest. Who wouldn't? I mean, that is tempting, isn't it? And then will say, so if you do, you then turn to that entry. So it might say you then turn to page 428. And then you turn to 428 and then you read what happens. Now it might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, it might be indifferent, it might just take you to other choices. But be warned, these books can be quite brutal because it might take you to your peril, to your death. You might die. So that's the basics of what they are. These are all set in a fantasy world, and there's a lovely map on the back of this edition here. I can never pronounce the world that it's set in. Lasagna. Lasagna. No, not that. I can never pronounce it. Or lasagna. I'm sure you guys can pronounce it much better than me. It's not even a difficult word to pronounce. So all of this, over the years, they've built up this fantasy world. You've got Warlock of Firetop Mountain takes place. You've got Darkwood Forest. You've got Moonstone Hill. So if you're used to these books, you'll know exactly what the world is about. There's a lot of magic in the world. Now, because these are game books, as well as you decide where you go, how you want the story to unfold, you also have a chance to fight creatures. So for that, you will need one of these. Yes, it's a regular pencil. I happen to have an eraser on the end. You will also need, at the back of the book, now I've printed this out, this is one of the older ones. This is an adventure sheet. You'll need one of those. And you will also need a dice. Now, be more precise, 2 dice. 2 die. A singular is die, isn't it? So you need 2 dice. Now, obviously they don't have to be as big as these, but I like this one. And you need 2 of them, because what you'll do, you'll be rolling dice to determine certain outcomes. So, as I say, you'll have an adventure sheet that you will then fill in your stats, because what you do, there's a little bit of setup before you start playing and reading the adventure. So what you need to do is you will need to be rolling for your skill, your stamina and your luck. So it's very simple though, the system. What you'll do is to determine your skill, you roll 1 dice and then you will add 6 to that result, and that then is your skill. And what you do is you then write that into your skill section of your adventure sheet. To determine your stamina, you will simply roll 2 dice and add 12 to your dice that you rolled. So you could end up with 22. If you do, you're very, very lucky. Talking of luck, you also roll for your luck. You, like the skill, you roll 1 dice and you add 6 to that to determine your luck score. Now these are what known as they're known as your initial scores, your starting scores. And you can't go above that. So when it says heal back up or replenish all of your skill or luck, then it means to go right back up to your initial starting scores. There are a few exceptions, but it will tell you when you go through the game book when you can go above your initial starting scores. Now, as you can imagine, skill is all about your swordsmanship and also about your fighting prowess. Stamina, again, as you can imagine, is about your strength. Obviously, the higher the better in all of these stats. And luck is how lucky you are. Yes, it does what it says on the tin. So you've got these 3 basic stats that you'll need to roll for. And you, as I say, you just simply enter those into your adventure sheet. Now, you are going to start with some equipment. And all of this information is actually written at the back of the book, so you can go through it in fine detail. And you'll be starting with provisions in a backpack. Now there's enough for 10 meals, and what that means is you can only eat 1 meal per turn. And how I interpret that, or one at a time it says, how I interpret that is that that's 1 per entry. So say you turn to, say, entry number 5, then if you want to eat a meal, I would eat a meal straight away, because you don't quite know what's going to happen in that entry. You might lose stamina. So what you do is when you eat a meal, it then replenishes 4 points of stamina. Now you can't go over your initial score, so if you're on 20 and you had 18 stamina because you lost some stamina for whatever reason, and you ate a meal, you could only go up to 20. You can't go over the initial starting score. So you might want to use your meals wisely. You do only get 10 of them. And what I would recommend, is that if you turn to an entry, you would eat your meal first, because you never know, especially if your stamina is getting low. Believe you me, it will start to get low in this. You will also start with a sword. You will also start with leather armor and a shield. Now these don't add any stats to, any extra score to your stats. They are there, I guess, for thematic reasons, because if you're an adventurer, you'll probably have a sword and armor and also a shield. That would be kind of part of your equipment, part of your day job. And so it would be a bit weird if you go on a quest and you start, and you encounter a monster and you start fighting it. It's like, well, what am I fighting it with? So these starting equipment, that's for thematics. You will, along the way, hopefully, fingers crossed, pick up weapons and armor and magic potions and magic items that will add to your stamina or add to your luck or your skill. You will also get to choose a magic potion, and it's a one-shot deal, and you can use it to heal up all of your, to replenish all of your skill, heal up all of your stamina, or to heal back up to your starting score of luck. So choose wisely. My personal recommendation, go for stamina, only because sometimes the battles that you fight can go a bit wonky, and also you can fall into some traps, you can get cursed, you can lose stamina quite easily. And as I say, there are certain aspects of the game where you can just be brutal, you can just kind of die straight away, or get hit for quite a lot of stamina. So let's move on to the battles, the combat. When you are into a combat, you have to resolve the battle. It's either going to be meaning that you die or the creature that you're fighting dies. It's as simple as that. There is no retreating or evading unless it specifically says so, but 9 times out of 10 you won't be allowed to do that. You have to resolve it to the death. What you do is you will record the creature's skill and stamina in the monster encounter box on the adventure sheet, there is a little section there that has enough monsters for, I think, 12 little monster encounters. So I like to write in who I've also fought as well. I put the name, because a monster will always have a name and is indicated in capitals. And it will also have stats, so it will have a skill and stamina stats as well. So you enter those in. Then what you do is you will be rolling 2 dice for the creature, and you add that to its skill score, and that will get its attack strength. You will then also roll 2 dice for yourself, and you will add that to your current skill, not your initial skill, because you might have lost points. So say you started out with 10 initial skill, and you've lost a couple of points for whatever reason. You might be down to 7 or 8, whatever. You then add your current skill. And whoever's attack strength is higher is the winner. Simple as that. If it's a standoff, i.e. you both get the same scores after rolling the dice and adding it to your skill, then it is a standoff and you just roll again. Now, whoever has won that round, so if I rolled higher and added it to my skill stat and I had the higher attack strength score, then I have wounded the creature. Likewise, if they have got a higher score than me, then they have wounded me. And what that means is that your stamina is reduced by 2 points. That's the damage that you sustain. Or the creature is sustained 2 points of damage. Now, obviously, if it's only got 2 to begin with, then you have killed it outright. But there aren't that many that have only got 2. You can use luck in battle. What you need to do, if you want to use luck, you roll 2 dice. If it's equal to or less than your current luck score, then you've been lucky. And again, remember that current luck score, not your initial, because it might be different. It's your current luck score, then you've been lucky. If you are lucky, then you get an extra 2 points of stamina off the creature, so you will be getting 4 points off them. If you are unlucky though, which means that you have rolled over your current luck score, then you haven't wounded that creature as much as you'd like to. They will only be getting 1 point of damage off instead of the 2. Also, if you are wounded, and you are trying to save yourself so you're not going to get any wound, then what happens is if you are unlucky, you get reduced 1 point. So that's basically the combat. Is very simple. You just take 2 dice, you roll for the creature, you take 2 dice, you roll for yourself, you add that to your skill stats, and then you determine who's got the higher one. You can play luck. I tend not to use luck in battles, but hey, maybe I'm just lucky or good at fighting. Then once that happens, if obviously either of you are both still alive, then you need to start the round again, and you do the whole process again until one of you is dead. Let's hope it's the creatures. Hints on play, and that's basically it. That's basically the mechanics of what will happen throughout the game. So there's hints on play. I'll just tell you a few little. You will need several attempts to play these game books. Believe you me, as I say this, they can be quite brutal. You can either lose in battle, that's quite, because you might fight a creature, then not be able to heal up any stamina, then you might happen across another creature, and you might sustain more damage, and then you might walk into a trap and take more damage. So before you know it, you can die pretty quickly. Or there are some blind alleys where you can just disappear. You can, get trapped in a dungeon or something, or you can, you could just get dropped from a dragon and you fall to your death. These are just examples. I don't know if they're actually in the book. So it can just be that brutal. You just turn to an entry, you start reading, and it's like, oh no, I made the wrong decision, and you die. So you need to make several attempts for this book, and that's part of the fun. So what I decided to do was actually write down every decision I made a list, so I would sort of go, right, so 9, this is what happened. Then I chose 382, and then I write 382, and then this is what happened. Then I chose 56, and I write that down. So I make a list of what exactly happened, because then if I do die, I can go back and say, well, I chose to go through the left door. Why don't I go through the right door at that decision? And then you can change the course of actually how your decisions influence and how the story unfolds. You can also draw a map too. It's not totally crucial, but maybe if you're getting lost in a dungeon, you could sort of start, because if it says you turn right, you turn right, you turn left, you might then want to draw a little map so you don't get lost, basically. And also writing down any information that could be useful. So example, it might be that there's instructions on I don't know, how to find a treasure chest in a cave. You know, turn left, turn right, go straight on. You might want to write that information down because you don't want to keep flipping back to that bit in the book. In fact, well, you should know where it is because if you've written down the entry, but you know, it's just easy if you write that down. There might be like a riddle or a poem or a quote, again, that might help you further down the line. You might have a feeling, yeah, actually, I feel like this is a riddle that might open the door to some, you know, secret cave. I'll write it down. So those are just little hints and tips there. The first thing I'll say is that I absolutely adore these books. They honestly, it's not because it's nostalgic. Playing them now as an adult, they're really, really fun. And this edition, this is the new book, Port of Peril. This is actually a special edition, as I mentioned earlier. I love the cover to this. This is by Ian McCraig. He is a fantastic illustrator. He's had a glorious career. He started his career actually at Games Workshop with Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, who created Games Workshop. He did the carrier bag to begin with. So I went to a Fighting Fantasy festival and he was there giving a speech. He's one of these people that's just so inspirational, very uplifting, just got a great outlook on life, has had a fantastic career. And in fact, he designed the look of Darth Maul in the prequels of Star Wars. So yeah, he's very talented. He's worked on other films as well, and he's done loads of illustrations, beautiful illustrations. And he did some of the original covers of the books. Most notable, I think it's the Forest of Doom with the lizard look, and also the City of Thieves. I think he did Zambar Bone, that look. And so he's got a good pedigree, and there's also inside illustrations as well. Now they are different. The illustrations, now these are the new ones. So this is the first book, Warlock of Firetop Mountain. This is the new illustrations, and there's some inner illustrations as well. Now I'm going to just be upfront. I do prefer the old original illustrations. I love pen and ink. They're very detailed. They're very character driven. They've got a lot of character. They're very, what I would call fantasy illustrations. You know, it just evokes fantasy, and they've got a lot of soul. I feel like you can really be in the illustrations. With these new ones, I like them, they're fine, they do the job, but I don't connect with them. That's just me, that's my own personal view on that. They're perfectly good, they're perfectly, obviously the artists are very talented. There are the cover illustration, Robert Ball does the cover illustrations for the new lot, there's 6 that are out at the moment, and Scholastics are actually going to be doing another 6. And the inside covers, the inside illustrations of the new ones are done by, and you have to excuse the pronunciation, Vladio Kizian, and also the map is by, I better give him a credit as well, by Leo Hartas. So overall, the illustrations do add to it. I love that fact because it's nice to see an illustration. Overall, I absolutely adore these books. They're beautiful. They're so well written. You just get totally lost in it. There's an immersive factor, and then to do the combat as well is just amazing. So I love the fact that you feel like you're going on that quest, and there's twists and turns, and then there's unsurprises. They're very quirky. There's a great sense of humour that runs through it. So if you love fantasy, this drips fantasy. And the combat system is great. It's simple. It's fun. So if you've got any kids, they're going to love these. Especially, I guess, 8-year-old, you could probably, help them along with it. 10 upwards, I would definitely say, 10, certainly 12 upwards, they would definitely just be able to do it on their own. And I remember doing them on my own. They're great fun. So it's a nice change from computer games. So absolutely love it. If you really enjoy, it's got that element of D&D as well. In fact, that's how these games started out, as they were trying to explain what D&D is to the mass population. And Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson said, well, why don't we just do a cut-down version of D&D? And this is what we've got. So totally recommend it. Yeah, the Port of Peril. The Port of Peril. Just thought I'd show you the actual paperback version here. This is the cover of the paperback version. It's out now. As I say, they're going to be launching another 6. And also exciting news, Charlie Higson of The Fast Show and Young James Bond, he's a children's author in his own right. He's also agreed to write one as well. So I can't wait for that. It's going to be very kooky, I would imagine, very atmospheric, because he's a brilliant writer. And there we go, that's what I think of them. I think they're gorgeous books. I can't praise them enough. There's also a computer game that's just come out actually by Nomad Games called Fighting Fantasy Legends, where they've taken 3 of the books and mixed that all up, and they've made it into a digital game, and we have done a review of that. And also we're going to be doing, it's either going to be out now or we're going to be launching it. I've done a playthrough of that digital game as well, where I just play through and explore the world, explore what the game's about, and that's a lot of fun, so make sure you look out for that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Remember to keep it unreal, especially if you like fighting.